Three, two, one, one, two, three, three, two, one.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your girl, Nat. I'm here with Swiper. What's going on, Swiper?
Good. I feel like I was coming out to an intro. Goodness gracious. I feel like Stephen A. Smith coming down the tunnel. I love it. I love that intro.
That's right. We are, in a few minutes, going to get into it. We're going to have the week on repeat, talk a little bit, about that Game 7 finale with Boston and Philly. We're going to touch on a couple of things with the coaches that have been let go in recent days and talk about that Denver Nuggets Game 1 win versus the Los Angeles Lakers. But first, we're going to get the injury report from Brian. Let's bring in Brian.
What's up, guys? Swiper. That's the injury report. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's been a blast. No, I'm kidding.
No one is injured, Brian.
But that's the point, right? These teams, here we are, conference finals, except for the Miami Heat, who are down without Hero and Oladipo, who won't be back for the playoffs no matter how far the Heat go. Everybody else has been relatively healthy for the postseason. And this is now when it really matters, because now they go every other day. There's no games where they have more than a day rest. So This is going to be critical. And I definitely think this favors the Nuggets in the Lakers series, given the fact that two star players for the Lakers are Bronny at 38 and Anthony Davis at 30 plus. And, we've seen them sit out sometime during the regular season. So durability is going to be very key here.
Right.
Going into these conference finals. So we'll see what the Celtics and the Heat bring tonight. But, there's a very, very small chance that the Celtics could even have Gallinari back. They're saying he's still a few weeks away, but you never know. He's kind of in the window to come back from the ACL reconstruction he had. He's been working out pretty rigorously, but I don't think he's cleared yet. So there's a small chance the Celtics get to the finals that he might be available as well. I don't know if that really helps them or not, but
it does
if nonetheless.
Well, he tore his ACL in August. Is that what it was?
Correct. Yeah, tore it in August of 2022.
Yeah.
And, we're about, 7-8 months almost. So technically speaking, now the only caveat to that is if this is the same knee that he tore it back in 2013, they're probably going to take it a little slower with his recovery and rehab. So they're definitely not going to rush him back. But he's been working out. He's been trying to get back. He's desperately wanting to. And he's kind of within the window, so we'll have to see. That might help them. I mean, I don't know. I'll let you guys debate that, but
I don't think he comes back, Brian.
No, I don't think he does either. But the possibility is still kind of hanging in the air, right? So, from a medical standpoint, anyway, it wouldn't be unheard of,
right?
Even though he's coming back from a second ACL.
Well, yeah, he would be. If Gallo were to play off an ACL in the NBA Finals, he would be getting hunted repeatedly by the Lakers or the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Come back next year. You still got maybe another couple years in you. We don't need you this year. So it just is what it is. But I'm happy to see that relatively every team is healthy. And, so we are, off and running. But thank you, Brian. Maybe next week we'll have something different.
Well, don't worry. I'll be watching. I'll be staying on top of anything develops. So you'll just tune into the Injured List podcast. You'll be the first to know.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Swiper. I know you saw that Game 7 finale with Philly and Boston. I did not expect for it to happen the way that it did. I expected a win. I did not expect it to go down in the fashion that it did. Um, Obviously the obvious, Jason Tatum, 51, 13, 5 and 2. Yeah, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 51 points. He had 0 turnovers, people. He had not one turnover. Yes, it happened. Um, that was the game of his life that he played. He put the whole thing together. There was no way to guard him. That he was the spin moves. He really didn't get in his 3 bag until of late, which that's what I was really proud of. He kind of just put everything else on display. He was getting to the rim. He had a little.
All that shot chucking paid off, Nat.
That's what he's doing. That's why he does it, is practice, So, but it was 0 turnovers. I am so proud of him for those 0 turnovers. I would have been okay with 2. He gave me 0. 25 points for Jaylen Brown, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. After that, people, you're talking about Marcus Smart, 7, 4 and 4. Horford, 6, 10 and 3. 2 steals, 3 blocks. Those 3 blocks were killer. Robert Williams, 6, 5, 1 and 1. The next closest person to double digits is Malcolm Brogdon with 12 points. This was a 112-88 win for the Boston Celtics, and no one in Philly cracked 20 points. 19 points for Harris with 5 rebounds, 9 points for James Harden with 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 11 points for PJ Tucker, who really got them going in the beginning of that game, is when I knew we were going to win. Embiid with 15 and 8, and Maxey with 17 and 3. The bench is not even worth mentioning. What did you see in that game, Swiper?
Well, one, I knew Jason was in his bag when he did that spin move over his right shoulder by Tobias Harris and laid it up left. And I was like, yeah, that looks like the ideal version of Jason Tatum with somewhat of a hedgy tween bag, had this crazy length to go from basically almost a free throw line to the basket with a lay. And then, again, by the time the second half started, he was basically playing 5-on-3. Harden was a no-show. Embiid was a no-show. And, he just started putting Embiid in all the actions. And, I was enjoying every part of it.
Yes.
Personally. I like Jason Tatum. I think he's great. I just wish he wouldn't shoot as many threes as he does. But he was great. He was spectacular. I was impressed with Marcus Smart the entire series. I mean, really outside of game 1, and James Harden's, game 4, which was just him shot making. I would even argue Marcus Smart was maybe your most consistent player relative to their role. Because Jason Tatum was going up and down. Jaylen Brown would go up and down. But Smart and Williams, man. Yeah. Game 6, Marcus Smart, 20 points?
Yeah.
Hitting buckets?
Yeah. He was hitting everything.
He looked really good. And I love Robert Williams, man. Robert Williams is such a perfect, just a secondary big that's just a great defensive anchor, great vertical spacer. I mean, literally his only thing is just his health. But when he's healthy, he's great. And every time Horford and Williams were on the court together, I just knew Embiid wasn't going to score. And, you think you'd be able to ask different from, the MVP of the NBA. But, hey, maybe Boston's just like that,
Well, the real MVP is over there in the West, but we're going to get into that in a little bit, But listen, once I saw in game 6 that Philly took their foot off the gas, they did not come to play game 6. I kept looking at the score and I said, Philly should be blowing us out the water. Jason Tatum had one of his worst halves I've ever seen him have. You think he couldn't have done much worse than game 6 happened.
One for 13?
Huh?
Was it 1 for 13 or 0
no,
for 13?
He was 0 of 14, I think. Could have been 1 of 13. Both.
That was nuts, bro. I was like, is somebody going to help Marcus Smart?
Right. Is somebody going to play their role in this series? And, when he did that, the problem with Jason Tatum is he's a rhythm guy. You know, the way he chooses to get himself into rhythm is threes. And someone needs to tell him that is not how you utilize your gifts. You are not a gifted 3-point shooter. You are a guy that can shoot threes. That is very different. You know, you are not. Steph Curry is gifted. You know, that man is gifted. You are not that. You know, you are a guy that's going to chuck it up a lot, and you're going to, you know, chuck up 10. You might make 3 or 4. That's not a gifted 3-point shooter. That is way too many threes for someone of his caliber. So if Tatum can just understand like what he did in game 7, if he can just do that the rest of his career, where people are going to put him on all times list is going to be insane, because you're going to get a lot more consistency. You're not relying on threes. You're going to have a mid range. You're going to be able to get to the rim. You're going to get a lot more free throws like that. You gotta step in from that 3-point shot. And I know you love it. He shoots 9 a game. That's way too many. You know, so that's what I see with Jason Tatum. If he just continues to build off of game 7, his career is going to really flip next year, and he might be way more efficient too. That's what I see.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for sure. I mean, he's 25. You know, he has a long room to grow. You know, he's still very good for how old he is. You know, he's a top tier player. You know, he's not like he's a top tier NBA player. I think I put it out maybe a few months ago now. I think the players that I think you could sign a blank check to, like if there's any player in the NBA or group of players that you couldn't pay them enough. Like there's no limit. I think I had Giannis, Jokic, Steph, and I had Tatum. I just think at like 24 years old at the time, 25 now, you know, for him to be a 6'9.5", 6'10" wing, ball handling skills, creation skills, playmaking skills, can get to the rim at time, hit a midi at time, good shot maker at time, with elite defensive traits. You know, you just don't see that. And so it's just like he has everything like in his game. He has a full capability to build out a package. And again, 3 years from now, by the time he's 28 years old, he could just, I mean, he legit could be an MVP by that point in time. So yeah, he has everything. Just, you know, he's figuring it out, but he's in his fourth Eastern Conference Finals.
I think it's his fourth. Yeah.
Fourth Eastern Conference Finals already at 25. So obviously he's doing something right.
Of course he's doing something right, you know, and people think that we have it easy. This is 3 coaches in 3 years, people. So we have some issues too. Like, let's be honest. But nonetheless, you know, Boston beats, you know, Philly, you know, takes game 7, but hopefully they build from it. And hopefully Joe Mazzulla builds off of his adjustments. There was a lot of zone that was thrown in this series. And for the reason why it went so long was because Joe was refusing to do anything with that zone, you know, and he just kind of let them figure it out. And they weren't figuring it out. They got killed every game up until part of game 6, and then into game 7, they figured it out, you know? So Robert Williams, Horford, this is the lineup that you need to live and die with. You know, you're big, you can move. You have 2 bigs that can move. You can match up with the rest of the size going forward with everyone else. You got to live and die with that, you know, and stop kicking it out for threes. You know, there's too many times I saw Tatum driving and then he kicked it out to Horford for 7 threes and he missed all of them. That's because he's not the guy that should be taking those shots.
Well, he's an elite shooter. So, you know, according to
someone told that man that, and he just like, yeah, you know, I can just shoot every game 10 threes. And I'm just like, they got in your head, buddy. Like, that's what happened.
But I will say, I think that's what makes them so effective versus the Philadelphia 76ers, though, because Embiid has to play in space. And, you know, Embiid likes to camp in that paint. But Horford, if he's making those threes, it just makes what they're doing on offense that much harder.
Oh, 100%. But they move on. You know, they are in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they'll be playing the Miami Heat that kicks off in about 15 minutes. So stay tuned for that. What I wanted to ask you about also, there are a lot of coaches that have been let go in, you know, the recent days. You know, you have Nick Nurse, you have Mike Budenholzer, you know, you have Monty Williams, and you also have Doc Rivers. So how do you feel about these guys, you know, and there's some good coaches there. Everyone's good in their own right, but
Mm-hmm.
you feel it was a good move, you know, and who do you think maybe that, you know, maybe misstepped or, you know, did they get it right?
Yeah, Monty was tough for me, just because I think Matt Ishbia, the new owner, he just wanted to get a new guy in there that he knows and that he brought in himself. You know, he brought Kevin Durant in and Devin Booker in, and maybe the owner was listening to the odds, right? Because since February 15th, when they made the move the week of the Super Bowl, they were the predicted favorite in the Western Conference. Everybody assumed that they were just going to put it together, and they were the favorite going into the Nuggets series. So maybe because of the way they lost, 30-point loss at home again in a game 6, maybe that's why he felt the need to let him go. But I think Monty's an incredible coach. Like, I think he made adjustments. I think everyone loves him in the league too. Now, Bud barely survived 2021. If it wasn't for Kyrie getting hurt or James Harden getting hurt, he wouldn't have lasted that year in the first place. They went on a championship run because they played the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks. And then they played against CP3, who dropped in the final. Devin Booker had, I think, a couple of stinkers in the final, and they were running single coverage with DeAndre Ayton on Giannis. He got saved by the fact that Embiid and Ben Simmons couldn't beat the Atlanta Hawks. So I felt like that was coming. And then they get sunned by Jimmy Butler in the first round this year, even though Giannis, he played 2.5 games. He was there. They lost back-to-back games he played in. So for me, I think that was going to happen because they were on the brink of doing that. Doc, I don't think they love Doc in Philly, but at the end of the day, you didn't make it out in the second round, but at the end of the day, your players on your court have to get the job done. At the end of the day, if you got an MVP on your roster, I expect that dude to show up and give me money in Game 7. At the end of the day, if I got James Harden playing point guard for me and you give me 9 points on terrible efficiency, at the end of the day, how much can you blame Doc Rivers for them sneaking it up in Game 7? Now, they did lose in Game 6, but they were running pick and roll repeatedly with the two best players, and Embiid had 1 point in the fourth quarter. Harden got smoked out in the fourth quarter. So my thing is like, you got to trust your guys, and they didn't get the job done. So it ain't just Doc, but I knew Doc was going to get canned because they had to. They had no choice. They had a 3-2 lead, and they lost to a team. And the Celtics, to be honest with you, they didn't even play well the entire series. That was the crazy thing. They gave up Game 1, just gave it up, gave it away to James Harden. Game 4, they should have won. They had opportunities to win at least. Game 6, the Celtics wanted nothing to do with that game until the fourth quarter. And you couldn't pull it out. So, of course, he had to go. So all of them made sense. But at the end of the day, man, Nick Nurse, they've been, trying to get him out of there. He's running up their minutes for all the starters and all that, even though they got a mid-roster with Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and Gary Trent. What do you expect that roster to do in an Eastern Conference with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Embiid and Harden, and then at the time, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? And then you got Giannis and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. What do you expect? And then you don't even have Jimmy Butler. So for me, I'm just looking at these organizations. What did you think was going to happen? That's just me. Because even right now, you got the Portland Trailblazers floating the idea they're going to trade the number 3 overall pick to get another star to Portland to win a championship with Damian Lillard.
There are some teams.
Boy, if you don't trade Damian Lillard, Nat, get him out of there.
So you are missing. So I've made so many tweets in the past, I think 2 years, that I said Damian Lillard is pulling the wool over you guys' eyes because all this loyalty crap and all that other stuff. I'm like, that to me, I think that he's afraid to jump ship and go somewhere else because then there's expectations. If you stay in Portland, you can consistently say I'm loyal. You can always look like the best player. He's staying with his team, and nobody really faults you for anything. So, and I think that he's been kind of coasting, but you're not going to compete for any kind of championship in Portland. There is not going to be.
What series is Dame Lillard going to be the best player in?
There's not one. Oh, well, wait, hold on. Minnesota?
Anthony Edwards in a playoff settings. Excuse me?
don't know. I don't know, but he needs to go and just say, you know what? Let me step up to the grind. Step up to the grind.
Right.
Damian, and actually go and compete. And Portland can't do anything, but trade him. They're going, nowhere fast, and they got pieces, but their pieces look good on other people's teams. They can help someone else, so trading the number 3 pick is ridiculous to me. You trade Damian Lillard and see if you can get something else, because there's a lot of teams that could use a Damian Lillard.
I mean, he's making $60 million on the last 2 years of his contract, though. Yeah. $60 million. And again, Damian Lillard is a first-team All-NBA caliber player, so this is not me disrespecting him. But he's a 6'1", soon-to-be 33-year-old guard come July. Yeah. And for me, that's great. I think he has, probably 3 to 4 more elite years in him, which is great. But I think on the other side of this, though, Nat, is unless you have a bona fide two-way big, I just don't see how you would make that work. So maybe him and Embiid, but he's not much of a pick and roll player, So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of people were saying. Like, does he go play with Embiid? But it's like, do their games really can they coexist? And I'm like, I don't know if that'll be seamless. So then you got to think of Phoenix. Phoenix needs a point guard. Right. Bad. So CP3, regardless if he's healthy or if he's not going to cut it. There is nothing you can do in the Western Conference with CP3 as your starting point guard. It's just not going to happen, especially when you have Aiden, who he's
people getting mad at Aiden, though, and I'm just like,
mad, but
right.
It's not mad. It's just, hey, this is who he is. Like, he needs to change the scenery. Maybe someone brought that up. I remember reading that. Maybe he needs to change the scenery. Okay, maybe, but still it's not working and it's not going to work. I put my foot in my mouth because I have this love-hate thing with the Denver Nuggets, and they pounced on them boys and now they're in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, wait, what was your hesitation with Denver?
It's a love-hate thing I have, and it's Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. I really like both of them, but my problem, I think, with Jamal Murray, he has these really big games. They're huge, and it's good, like 35 plus points, whatever. The very next 2 games, sometimes it's like 13 points, 14 or 15 points, and I'm like,
so Jason Tatum is what you're saying.
No.
In a playoff setting, the exact same thing happens to Jason Tatum.
No.
Yes, it does.
Tatum will average 30, and then he'll have an inefficient 23 points.
What's Jason Tatum averaging in the playoff right now? What's he averaging in the playoff? What is Tatum averaging in the playoffs right now?
25 or 27.
So a 5-point droppage from the regular season. And by the way, you know what? I like Jason Tatum, but let me tell you the truth, Nat. Let me tell you.
Oh, now we're going back to the East. Thank you.
I'm just playing. I'm not.
Leave Tatum out of this, okay? Leave Tatum out. He was the only one playing on Sunday. You're not going to come in here and talk about Tatum. If that man didn't do what he did.
I'm glad that he joined the 50-point club in the playoffs again. I'm glad he did that. That's his second.
He's
second,
done it,
right?
He's done it before.
I mean, so is Jamal Murray. Have that conversation.
Oh, yeah? He's done it? How many times?
Twice, actually.
Well, okay. Who was he playing?
What you mean, who was he playing? Donovan Mitchell was giving him 56 on the other side of the court. Who are you playing? The Wizards and a broken Joel Embiid. I don't want to hear that.
Broken? Oh, my God.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing out of Philly, that he wasn't healthy. So that's all I'm saying.
He wasn't healthy?
That's what they said. That's what they said to me. Look, they said if he played well, he was overcoming an injury. If he played bad, it's because of the injury. That's what I've heard the last. I'm not going to keep going, but that's what I've heard every year. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not doing this, and I know what you're doing too, and I agree with you. So this is the thing, right? Let's real quick, let's talk about this, right? I am stubborn when it comes to the Nuggets. It's because I nitpick. I love Joker. I find nothing wrong with him. People talk about his defense. I don't think he's a terrible defender, and the stats don't say that he's a terrible defender, actually. but he's the best in the world. Let's be honest. He's the actual MVP. His game elevates in the playoffs. I've seen him have a starting point guard of Campazzo, and then he had Austin Rivers, and he beat that Portland Trailblazers team. And that was when I said, how did a healthy Portland team lose to a team that literally got guys that you don't even know their names, and they won that series? That should have told you something right there, Portland. That's all I'm saying. But game one, let's get into that. Game one was last night, Denver versus the Lakers. Now, it got to be kind of close because in the beginning, Swiper, you guys were blowing them out. You were killing them. Yep. And then something happened. Now, people say it's because Rui went on Joker, but it was 132, Denver 126, the Lakers. So of course, Joker, he had 34, 21 rebounds, 14 assists, a couple blocks, 5 turnovers. Jamal Murray, 31 points, 5 and 3 steals. KCP has been playing phenomenally. He's one of the guys I really like to watch. 21, 2, 3, and 2. And then Michael Porter, 15, 10, and 2. And then Aaron Gordon, 12, 3, and 3. What did you see last night? And what makes you, I won't say nervous, but what are you watching for? And then what makes you hopeful that you can take this series?
Yeah, surely. I predicted the series in 6. I think the Nuggets have the best player on the court. I think that's been clear. I think they have the best overall team. Yesterday, they ran into 2 issues. Jamal Murray kept getting switched on to LeBron James. They kept giving the switch up instead of denying the switch. And then when they did try to switch, they weren't hustling back when Jamal was showing, getting back to Austin Reeves. So things to clean up there. The next thing is the Rui Hachimura thing. Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors used to do this to Joker. PJ Tucker and Embiid did this to Joker. Because Joker was, I think he was 11 of 13 when matched up head-to-head versus Anthony Davis. I think NBA.com it was 10 of 12. But we'll just ESPN, NBA.com, whichever one. But he was cooking. He had 20 points per NBA.com, 20 points and 11 assists when being guarded by Anthony Davis. He was murdering him. So they basically said, all right, we're going to stop this, and we're going to put Rui on you, and we're going to hope that slows it down. So what happened was the rest of the offense got bogged down. But this is what the Nuggets do. They get up 20, 21 points. Sometimes they can just take their foot off the gas, and so that's kind of what happened. But again, even going into the fourth quarter, they were up 14 points, and then they just bad possession. But then again, they were able to still win the game because they were able to overcome the issue they had caused and the Lakers had thrown at them. So as much as everybody's like painting this broad brush that like, oh, well, the Lakers figured some stuff out. Well, they didn't because the Nuggets figured them out and they countered and they were still able to win. So that's what happened. So it's going to be a really good series. I do expect them to win game 2. I think my score prediction was 109 to 103 or 102 for the next game because I think the Lakers, they shot 46% from 3, 55% from the field, and 89% from the line. Nuggets were 55, 47, and 77. But the Lakers have not been a good offensive team. They're not a good shooting team. So I do expect the scoring to go down, but I just think the Nuggets, they know they need to win that game too. I think to do what they want to do. Because if you get up 2-0 versus the Lakers and you go back to LA, man, all the pressure's on them. And LeBron had to play 42 minutes last game. AD played 42 minutes last game. And AD's almost 30 with a hurt body. LeBron 38 with a hurt foot. And then if they go down 2-0 and they got to play 40 more minutes again in LA, because there's no 2-game break. It's every other day you're playing basketball. And the Nuggets, Jokic 28, Gordon 27, Murray 26, Porter's 24 years old, bro. All them dudes, young.
I think Jeff Green is the oldest on that
36.
Yep. Jeff Green. So
former Celtic.
Horford is way better than Jeff Green.
Yeah, for sure.
Jesus Christ. No, it was a great game, and I felt like they should have won by 20. It should have been like 112 to 132. They gave up some threes to Austin Reeves that I was like, what are you doing? He just hit from the same spot multiple times. I'm like, you can't do that. And then Jamal Murray getting switched on LeBron. I was like, you guys knew it was coming. He's hunting. They're hunting this. They want this. Now, LeBron bailed you out with that terrible 3. I think he was just tired, honestly.
You just don't like LeBron. Move on. You just don't like LeBron. Okay, move on.
It was a terrible 3. And you know it was a terrible 3. There was other things you could have done, and you threw up that 3, and I was like, oh, thank you, because I know that's not going in.
Right.
You know, it didn't. But I got you guys winning this in 6.
Now,
don't let me down.
I don't play basketball anymore, so look, I can't do nothing about it.
Don't let me down, because Jesus Christ, like I had you guys.
This is all. No, first off, Nat, I know you. This is nothing but an anti-LeBron agenda and pro-Celtics agenda, because you want the Celtics to go to the championship, get their 18th ring, and you want to do it versus the team not named the Lakers. So there's no threat of them getting 18 over you. I know what this is about, and you don't want LeBron to get his 5th. Okay, you're not going to trick me. Okay, I know you. All right.
No, I want Joker to get to the finals
and lose to Jason Tatum.
You're gonna lose it when we get to the finals. I'm telling you, you're gonna lose.
Well, good news is we have played against now 3 players that are better than Jason Tatum, so they'll be okay.
They'll be okay. Yeah, you haven't played against this kind of team, this Boston Celtics. Swiper, I appreciate you coming on. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at SwiperCam on Twitter, SwiperCam on YouTube, and we're just moving and grooving from there.
All right, Swiper, thank you so much, and you have a great night. We'll be right back. We're going to take a commercial break.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our Pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code 3PEAT to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
All right, guys, and remember, go to Underdog Fantasy and use the promo code 3PEAT, and we will double your deposit up to $100. All right. That was great having Swipe on, talking about the Denver Nuggets, like I said, great game last night. There was some things that they could build on, and there's some things that if they don't pay attention to, they can lose that series. Obviously, you're not going to make trick shots, every single time. You're not going to, you're not going to throw up everything that's just going to go in. At some point you got to, hamper down here and then actually, settle into your offense and play, a good game, because it's going to take a lot to beat that defensive minded, Lakers. Now their half court offense leaves a lot to be desired. They did take out D'Lo completely of this game, Schroeder completely out of this game. And Vando was not able to, be as effective as he was the last series. So there's some things that you can build on, but they're going to adjust as well. They lost, but there's some things that they're going to do again, moving forward. So it's up to Denver, in which I believe that they can do it. I think they have the best player on the planet. And it's going to happen, and we're going to see, how they counter, and who's going to take game 2. I still have Denver taking game 2. I feel like they are still going to hunt the matchups that they do have. I feel like Jamal Murray, there's an answer there, when it comes to playing against D'Lo, or Schroeder, that he's cooking them. If that's going to continue to work, then Jamal needs to continue to be aggressive. I would like to see more shots for MPJ. I don't think that there was enough shots for him. I think he had roughly around 12 shots, maybe. That's not enough. He needs more. Some of those other shots to other people, it needs to go to MPJ. Hopefully Bruce Brown can keep up what he's doing, and this is going to be a hell of a series. It's going to be a fight, but I do have Denver in 6, so we're going to see if that's going to happen, Tonight, it kicks off game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston versus the Miami Heat. They know each other well, Boston winning last year in a game 7, in Miami, it was hard fought. This year, things are different. Boston is now, the number 2 seed. Miami's the 8th seed, but their journeys are slightly different. Miami in the beginning of the playoffs, even just to get in, they were in the play-in. They had to, They had to beat, I think, Atlanta to even get in. And that didn't happen. They had to play again and they got the 8th seed, Atlanta got the 7th seed. But Miami goes into round 1 and just completely beats up Milwaukee. It's one of the greatest series you're ever going to watch. It's the way that it showed you. This is the prime example that basketball is not necessarily about seeding. When you get to the playoffs, it's about matchups. You get the right matchup, anything can happen. And that's exactly, what went on in round 1. You got the right matchup. Now, Giannis got injured that first game, so he didn't finish it out. They take game 1. Game 2, he doesn't play, so then, but they still win. Okay, good. Great. They only won 1 game that whole series. It was like Jimmy Butler was on a different level. He just went nuclear. Now we know there's playoff Jimmy, but he just went nuclear. But other people on that team played their role as well. So you had Caleb Martin coming in, who's I like him. He gives great energy and he plays the right way and he's very consistent. I really like Caleb Martin. Strus was very strong. He hit some timely shots. Gabe Vincent was very good behind the arc and he had some good point guard play. There were some guys that made some things happen, on top of Jimmy Butler going nuclear. It all just worked. Also, you have the best coach in the playoffs. Yeah, Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The best coach is Eric Spoelstra. Nothing you can do about that. He is fantastic. His schemes, how he sees the game, his adjustments in game, whether it's the first quarter, second quarter, this man makes adjustments like he's supposed to. So add all of that up to the fact that Milwaukee, which I think that Miami exposed some things about Milwaukee that Boston was hoping to do, which is why they were so ready to play them as well. Very flat-footed on defense, the lack of athleticism from some key players that you're counting on in the series. Brook Lopez not really wanting to go out, obviously, to that 3-point line. He wants to man that paint. You miss your shot, he gets the rebound, and they're off and running. That's been their MO, and it just did not work in this series. They looked unprepared. They looked like they were just planning to waltz in and just be there, and it was going to carry them through. That is a prime example of you have to show up and also be ready to play, because when you play with the team or versus a team like like Miami, they have nothing to lose. If they lost in the first round, they have nothing to lose. Technically, they're not supposed to win. If they lost in the second round, they had nothing to lose. And if they lose in the third round, they have nothing to lose. So if you play with a team like this, that's terrible. You have to play desperate almost. You got to play let me stop playing around with these guys because they have a number one over there, that can win them some games, not one game, but some. You got to put them to bed early. You can't play around with them. And that brings me to the Boston Miami series that kicks off. It's already kicked off 8:38. Boston has to hit first. They have to stop wanting to get hit, and then all of a sudden they are in the playoffs. They remember that they're here to play. They have got to start hitting first. If Boston does not come out like they are the best assembled team in the league, you keep playing with teams, eventually somebody's going to stop playing with you. You're very lucky that you played a Philly team that they just didn't have the personnel, but you prolonged that series longer than you should have. You prolonged it, and it was because there was the missed coverage. A game 4, Jaylen Brown going to help in the paint versus Joel Embiid when Tatum is square up with him. Terrible. I know he wish he can have that playback. I can see it in his face. I know you wish you could have that playback because you left a 3-point shooter wide the hell open. I have never seen James Harden so wide open in my life. You did that. You lose the game. Clock management was terrible. Timeouts weren't called. This series, if you did not learn anything, you are going to lose versus the Miami Heat. Stop playing. Stop chucking up threes. Stop chucking up 10 threes a game, Tatum. How about we bring it down to 7 and you get your butt in the post? How about that? Let's just try it out, because that's going to get you going, not you taking 10 threes. You can be a more efficient guy for this team and actually set them up for success if you lead them not behind that arc, but get in the post. You are so talented. Joe Mazzulla has to call timeouts. Jaylen Brown has to have more than 15 shots. He has to have 20 plus shots in this series. He has to average that. No 13, 14, 15. This man needs the ball. If the lineup isn't working, adjust. Because Eric Spoelstra is thinking ahead of you. He's already ahead of you. You just have to keep up. You're not going to pass him, but you got to keep up. Because if you don't keep up, you're going to lose the series. There's no playing. You can't play around in this series. You have got to finish the job. Last year, it was Golden State and Boston in the finals. Golden State is gone second round. It is amazing that the Boston Celtics have gotten back to the Eastern Conference Finals. But you got to stop acting like, I've been here. I got like 5 rings, I knew we were going to be here. You actually got to play desperate. When Boston plays like every game is their last, they are tough to beat. You can't beat them. But then when they play like, we'll get them next game, it's terrible. You guys are terrible. Joe Mazzulla, call timeouts. Change up your lineup. Adjust. Let's not be stubborn. And actually go and take this series. If we want to be honest, this series should go. If Boston plays how they should, this series should go 5. It should go 5 games. It should be 4-1. If you guys actually show up to play, this is a 4-1 series. If you guys don't, then it's going 6 or 7. For what? Because you're playing. If this goes 6 or 7, Boston Celtics are playing and they're not serious. And we all know this team can be very unserious. So I want to see a better game, in a better coached game from Joe. And I want to see these guys hit first. If Boston hits first and just like stops waiting, to get punched in the mouth, that might mean you guys finally get it. You might finally understand what it takes. Nobody's going to give you a championship. Nobody's going to give you Banner 18. Nobody wants you to have Banner 18, but the people that live in New England, first of all. Nobody's going to give this to you. This Miami team is not going to lay down. And if you go on to the finals, Miami's not going to let you go without a fight. They're going to bang you up. If you get to the finals and you play, whether it's Denver or the Lakers, they're not going to give you 18. They're not going to do it. So actually play like you're the best team in the league. You're the best assembled team. You got the defenders, you got the half court players, you have the the full court players. You guys have everything and you play like you're missing so much. Doesn't make sense. So I'm hoping for a better series for Boston where they finally put it all together. Atlanta series, you guys were feeling it out. That was a bad series, but you won based off of you're just better. That's it. You're just the better team. The next series, you should have won, but it should not have taken 7 games. You've always been better than Philly. Philly still does not have the personnel to beat you, but you let it go on long enough with mental lapses. Not being able to defend, the pick and roll. The pick and roll was killing you damn near every game. And like, oh, you finally got it, part of the way through game 6 and then game 7. Okay, you got it. But why did it take so long? You can't wait to make adjustments, So Boston, It should be 5, but I'll give you until game 6. I will give that to you. As far as this Denver series, Denver versus the Lakers. I had neither of these teams in the Western Conference Finals. Part of it, like I said earlier, is my stubbornness. I got some stubbornness when it comes to both teams. I thought that, at first, I thought Memphis was going to run them out of the gym. I thought that they were really going to play at a high level, high pace, hit some shots. I thought they were just going to run them too much. That didn't happen. I should know better than to just pick Memphis at any point. Lakers go on. Next series, I thought, okay, Golden State. Golden State should have this. It looked like it was a good matchup for them. I thought they were going to run them all over the place, have them chasing them on the 3-point line. Klay Thompson takes some of the worst shots I've ever seen him take. They are not big at all. For some reason, they trade all their big pieces and thought that that was a good thing. And clearly it wasn't. It shot them in the foot. The bench gave them nothing. The bench, Jordan Poole wasn't even a factor. Sometimes I wasn't even sure if he was actually playing. It was so bad. There was nothing you could do. So you go out 4-2. That made sense. You couldn't combat the height and the talents when it comes to AD. Vando, he did a great job on Steph Curry. Steph Curry had some games where he was 25 plus, but that was a hard fought 25 plus. It wasn't one of those games or that series where Steph gets 25 and it was just a cool 25. You knew he was on his way to 35. It was, will he go over 30? Will he get close to 30? Because of the defense. They're gone. The Lakers win that series. Now you're here with Denver. They lose game 1, but there was some mid-game adjustments that happened that they have something to build on. I called last night a terrible win for Denver and a pretty good loss for the Lakers. And that's because you should have been blown out by 20, but instead you fight back into the point where you are only down 3 points. And that was because, shots weren't going in anymore for Denver. They let their foot off the gas. I don't think Joker was as dominant as he should have been in the fourth quarter. I think he should have been a little bit more selfish in going when you have the undersized Rui on you. I think he could have been a lot more aggressive. He was looking to pass and not looking to score. But that game got close, and I just want to see Denver make that adjustment and see what they're going to do next game. This is going to be a hard-fought series. For people think it's going to go 7. I think that if Denver is smart and if Denver really wants to get to the finals, they're going to end this in 6. You do not go back home and play, with AD and LeBron. They've been there before together. They know how to play together. They love playing together. There's momentum there. They have a good enough squad that could carry them to the finals as a 7th seed. You can't play. Any team that's actually serious about getting to the finals, you got to end it in 6, at least. End it in 6. Let it go. Do not play with these guys, because what you're going to do is LeBron, he's not taking over like he used to, but what you're doing is you're going to give someone of that caliber all the energy they need to go into a game 7 and say, this is do or die. And you might die. So it's just not smart. When you're playing against killers, it's best that you shoot first. Okay. And make sure that they don't get back up. So I think this will go to game 6. And if Denver is smart, they'll end it in game 6. But whoever, to me, is going to win this series, it'll be game 6. That'll be the final game, in my opinion. The Lakers will either figure it out and figure out what to do when it comes to Denver moving forward, and they'll end it in game 6. I truly believe that they are that good to do it, and they're smart. And if Denver finally adjusts and understands that we can't let our foot off the gas, we have some disadvantages here. You have the best player in the series. They'll end it game 6. It'll be done game 6. So my prediction for the East and the West, Boston gets it done in 6 games, and Denver gets it done in 6 games. So my finals prediction is Boston versus the Denver Nuggets, which will be a hell of a series. All right. So let's check in on the game right now that's going on. 23-22, Boston up 1 point. So first quarter, 3 minutes and 55 seconds to go. So far, so good. It's close. This is going to be close. They're feeling each other out, seeing what they're doing. These two teams are not the same from last year. One has a different coach. And the other, as far as Miami, some different personnel. Lowry is playing a lot better. Kevin Love has come in. He's an underrated signing for a team. He's so underrated. I actually wanted him in Boston, because I really like his game. Very smart guy. He's doing something for that team. He's a killer, with those threes. He's such a good 3-point shooter as a big. He rebounds well. He's a smart veteran, and this is paying dividends. It's no secret that they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. With these additions, especially Kevin Love is a big one to me. I don't think it's a shocker, really. Especially the way they play. And Jimmy Butler, he goes nuclear in the playoffs, like I said. So this is going to be a hell of a series. I got Boston winning this first game 1, and potentially I got them winning both home games. We will see if I'm right. I will catch you guys next week. I'm your girl, Nat. You can find me on Twitter, where it's at ReeseRebel31, or it's Nat_the_GM, Nat the GM. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 3 Peat Podcast, and we'll see you next week.